Welcome back, everybody, to the Out of Body Experiences podcast. My name is Alicia Figurelli. I am one of your co-hosts, along with Tom Greco and Eddie Day from Collision Restoration in Fairfield, New Jersey. Hello, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hello. This episode is sponsored by our old friends, Spinisi Americas. Visit them at spinisi.us to learn more, or click the link in the episode description. More on that in a few. So what are we talking about, guys?
Let's start off by talking about electric vehicles, which seems to be the big hot topic. And I'm talking to two people who own them. So what are your guys' takes on electric vehicles?
Go ahead, Alicia. You first, Alicia. You're more on the consumer side, and I can give you the repairs angle, you know.
I don't know if I'm a good person to talk to about it, because I'm scared to drive it. I haven't driven it yet. It's not mine, it's my husband's. And nope, I'm good.
Meaning you're not a fan.
I think it's great. I don't so if once he's gotten his first dent, then I'll drive it, because I don't want to be the one. I
know somebody can fix the first dent, you know.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
But what made you decide to buy a Tesla?
I was just about to tell you. So Eddie, you're part of the reason that we got it, actually, if you remember.
Yeah, we had a conversation in the car, actually.
Yeah. Eddie was actually a big reason why my husband bought a Tesla. He had a 2012 Accord that was showing its age, and it was time to change. And he had a couple of issues with it that kind of signaled the end. And Eddie is the resident expert around here on electric vehicles. So, and he repairs them. So it's nice to have somebody that you could like walk to the shop if you need to. But he loves it. Oh my God, it's great to be in. It's really cool.
It is very cool. It is very cool. And it's not going away.
No,
it's not going away. I mean,
they make it so attractive too, like for the consumers.
For the tax rebates. And
oh my God, it was more cost effective to buy that than to buy a gas car. And then you knew that they had them. You didn't have to wait.
That's their incentive, Alicia. That's what they're trying to do. I don't know if anybody has taken the time to do a complete cradle to grave analysis. I know the initial savings for fuel is almost half.
Oh yeah.
Between the electric bill and the gasoline. If you're driving something economical and you're a commuter, I mean, I hate to say it, but it almost makes sense. Okay. I have a Model S that I bought from a customer. I went to Yankee Stadium yesterday, and I had a critic, you know, he's a staunch Republican like myself, but he's even more rigid than I am, which is, it's unbelievable, right? And he got in the car and he's like, shit, you know, this thing, it's so linear, you know, it does everything it's supposed to do, you know. And the Model S is big, so the ride is nicer. It's got air suspension, and it's a hell of a car, you know. And I think all the car companies are jumping on. You know, what concerns me is that, like, some of the car companies that are jumping on, I won't mention who they are, but they have trouble making gasoline cars without breaking at 60,000 miles, and they're jumping right into the ZV market, you know. And I just don't know. Number one, we don't have the infrastructure, right? We don't have the grid. Our grid's old as shit, okay? And, you know, listen, at the turn of the century, you had 128 car companies. That's a fact. You had 1 million car companies, right? But we started off with electric initially, 12-volt batteries in series, right? We started off electric. We went to steam, right? And then we went to gasoline. I think this possibly could be a stepping stone to hydrogen. It's going to be a 10-year stepping stone or 15-year stepping stone. You know, they are pretty cool. I mean, they drive well. They're smooth as hell. They're silky smooth to drive. You know, it's here, guys. The federal government's dumping a lot of tax money into these programs.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I think? Yeah, it's coming. I'm not going to be that guy. You know, I love my friends. My friends are these rock-headed freaking idiots. Like, And that not in my driveway. And like, really, guys, look, this is easy.
So just like anything else though, and I feel like we talk about this every episode, there's, like you said, there's the guys that are like, not me, never. But that's gonna be in the shop too. That it was like that with aluminum, it was like that with waterborne paint, right?
MIG welding. How's
MIG
that? I'll
welding.
go back 35 years to MIG
Yeah.
welders. It
Unibody,
freaked everybody out.
Yep.
Everybody was braising quarter pound for MIG welding. Oh Christ, what do I have to buy this thing for? It's got a tank like this on it. Like, really? You know, we're using brass or, you know, or wire welding. MIG welding freaked everybody out. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
You know, this country never does well. And this is the greatest nation in the world. I'm blessed every day when I wake up in the morning that I wake up in the United States. But, you know, I think Churchill said it. America always does the right thing after trying everything else. Okay. And so that's the truth. So, you know, is our back against the wall? Yeah, we throw this shit at us. We don't. My concern is, are we going to be shooting each other at charging stations? You know,
that's the problem. I don't think anybody has, like, I'm not a rock head, but I'm not going to go get an electric car if, you know, number one, I have to worry about if I'm in a snowstorm and I get stuck, I'm screwed. Number two, if I have to go wait in line, you know, I remember Eddie, you and I are old enough to remember the gas crisis.
That's
where
right. That's a parallel I'm trying to make, right?
You had to wait in line for 2 hours to get gas. If, you know, it takes about 20 minutes, like to a half hour to fully charge your car, right? Is that correct?
130 miles took me 54 minutes, and it cost me $17.50. I have it on my dashboard. It comes up all the time. So, you know,
like myself, I'd rather pay $100 and be in and out in 5 minutes. I'm not going to sit there for an hour. And again, it depends on how many cars are in front of you. And right now, like you said, the infrastructure isn't there. So it's going to take years for them to be able to put up enough stations to serve the people that they want to sell these cars to, because they're forcing us to buy them. They don't want to sell anything but electric cars by what, 2035, 2028, depending on your state.
I think Bentley is committed at 2030.
Okay, my point being is that it's being shoved down our throats, and either you get with the program, regardless of whether it's best for you, or, you know, you're out in the cold. I mean, it's a great concept. The cars sound like they're great. I would drive one tomorrow if I knew I wasn't have to wait at a charging station for an hour once a week. It's stupid. And for us to implement these plans and force it down people's throats when we're not ready for it, get the country ready for it, build the infrastructure ready, get a charging station, you know, 10 charging stations on every other corner or whatever, or make sure, you know, gives incredible tax rebates so you can have them in your house. It's just, we're not ready for it. And the fact that the government wants to shove it down our throats is what people like myself are like, you know what? I'd love electric car. It sounds great. I love to save money on gas, but all the other things don't work. It's the pros and the cons. They don't balance out. And if I want to go on a long trip or whatever, and, you know, you're going down Route 80 and there's a charging station every, you know, 500 miles, you're screwed. And we're not ready for that. And that's what bugs me about it. It's not a matter of I have anything against electric cars. I think they're a great idea.
I think it's more prevalent than you think. Like, he just went down to DC or National Harbor for, you know, a conference, and he didn't have any trouble. There's an app right on the thing that it'll show you, like, here's a station, here's a station, it shows you.
It's called plug share. Yeah.
Like, here's how you get to one. So
yeah, but
I know what you're saying for sure.
But that's great when 10% of the consumers have them. When 80% have to have them, that's a different story.
Well, then you're gonna need more stations.
Yeah, thousands and thousands.
It's going to be a long time for that, Tom. It's going to be a long time. What are you telling me at that point in 7 years that we're going to scrap every gasoline car is going to get shredded? No, it's not. Okay. Then you think the oil companies are going to let go of this that quick? No, they're not. Joe Biden may say whatever he wants to say, because let's face it, he doesn't know who he is. Okay. So in the meantime, Stumbling Joe can get overwritten on this shit in 15 minutes. Look, I wish they could run on unicorn urine. Okay. I wish all this shit would happen. Now, to let you know, as of last week, Toyota supposedly made a battery half the size of the Tesla battery. It gets 700 miles to a charge and charges in 10 minutes. That's the deal breaker. That's the game changer right there. Okay.
Again, going into that aspect of the batteries, it says right here, Reuters reports that there is little existing U.S. recycling capacity for electric vehicle batteries, and virtually none in Europe. Yet they want to implement these plans over the next 5 years. But it's not only just federal; it's local as well. It's like, and of course it comes down to red and blue, which is ridiculous because we all want the greater good. But my problem is not with electric vehicles on their own; it's with the forcing of us to have to adapt when we're not prepared for it. And not only that, the consumer's not prepared for it, but neither are a vast majority of the body shops. You're the exception to the rule, correct?
The fact that we should be equipped, yeah, because I have a Hyundai Ioniq right now. I have a Porsche Macan, or Taycan rather, here, and I got to tell you something. Hyundai makes another night. They make a nice car. They make a beautiful little electric car, 330 miles. The price is right. They make a nice vehicle. Also, they do. But as an EV would go, it's a Hyundai. It's not Tesla.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So we're pushing a little too fast, absolutely. But it's here to stay, guys. It absolutely is.
It's also, again, just like everything else, though, it's not like you're gonna get arrested if you have a gas car. So it's, you know what I mean? Like it's probably gonna be a good 10, 20 years before you have to worry about having a gas car
Be a long time.
as a repairer or as a consumer, because no one's getting rid of their car. The gas stations aren't going away. Like you said, the oil company is not going to give it up that easily. So there's billions and millions of dollars being tossed around on that end. So I
What are
don't.
dealerships going to do?
They're
What are they going to? What are they going to fix? What are they going to fix? What are they going to fix? There's really nothing to fix.
Oh yeah, only if it.
Where's the oils, the petroleum, the antifreeze, the hoses? Do you realize the trickle down the billions of dollars that are going away?
Yeah. Well, the body shops it'll dwindle on their end too, because the autopilot, right, with crash avoidance.
This is not going to that's not going to change, because I fix a lot of wrecked Teslas. That's not going to change until everything operates under one operating system. So there's a satellite that has an iOS, right, and it projects a huge freaking cage around the country. And notice this is going to happen. And as you move forward and the guy slows down, it's going to slow down. Every car is going to talk to each car. That's when this is going to change. There'll be no accidents. The first electric car I fixed here was 20 years ago. A full plug-in. It was a RAV4. You can look it up. Toyota made a handful of them. And one of my customers lobbied in Washington with the last 4 presidents to make an electric car. Okay, to come out with an electric vehicle program, and it was a RAV4. I still have the charger. It was called a Magna Charge, and it was a big plate that you plugged in the front of the hood. No plug, actually. It was big flat. You could dip in water. And you plugged it in the front of the car. And that was the first electric car that I worked on here. It was a white RAV4. There's only 30 RAV4s left. They shredded them like they did shredded the Saturn. Saturn was first. There's a video. Who killed the electric car? There's a video. You got to watch it. And they actually took those Saturns and shredded them. You see them going in the machine in a junkyard. Each one of them were lined up. The people could not own them. You could only lease them. And they brought them back to GM, and GM, under the pressure of the oil companies, whatever, there's 100 different conspiracies. America loves a goddamn conspiracy, right? And they show this line of Saturns. Tom Hanks owned one. They show a line of Saturns, and they just ground them in little pieces. You see chunks of metal flying out. And that was it. That was a real EV where it was a great car. It had 90-mile range, the same shit. It wasn't ready. This stuff is ready. We're ready for this stuff right now. The infrastructure, great different story, Tom. Tommy, I have my reservations also. So you're not alone, but it ain't going anywhere, bud. Not when they start throwing tax money at you.
Do either of you ever hear of the play The Water Engine?
No.
It's written by David Mamet. I read it in college. They come up they come up with an engine that runs on water,
They kill
So-
the guys or something? Did they kill them?
Absolutely, absolutely. They
Okay, yeah, yeah, makes sense.
and that's, but I mean, that's kind of like, how did they get the EV stuff through when it's kind of the same thing? Like the big oil companies, the whole concept was that they created this engine that ran on water, and everybody loved it, of course, because you didn't spend any money, and now they've kind of done that, and I guess maybe I think that was written in the 70s, so 50 years later, they figured it out, right?
When I was a kid, I remember on the news, there was two brothers that built a gas motor that got 70 miles to the gallon, was 4-cylinder, it made 300 horsepower. This is back then. And it was, everybody was all excited about it, and it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Now, two things happened. They're part of the Meadowlands, holding up Giant Stadium, right? Okay. Or they just, somebody from one of the big oil companies went, here's 10 million. Do you really want to go through this process? Just go away. Okay. Let me take this motor. I'm going to crush it in little pieces, and you're going to go away. But I remember that on the news, that two guys that built that motor. The oil companies, they got something up their sleeve, but they're going to start making fuel out of algae. There's going to be some eco-friendly, something's going to happen.
I'm looking forward to going back to the Flintstone engine.
Yeah, me too. I have the feet for it. So
Feet.
we are about at that point in the episode where we get to talk about our friends Spineezy, an industry-leading provider of collision repair equipment. Spineezy has been supporting TGP and this podcast for a pretty long time now. They are very well known to the industry. They design, develop, and manufacture a wide range of body shop products and equipment to help you with diagnostics, damage repair, spray booths, welding, measuring, pretty much anything you need to do, they do it. You can get your quote at spineezy.us or just click the link on the episode description for full product info on all the products they carry, a virtual tour of the facility, details on all of their OEM approvals, and much, much more. Spineezy.us. Going back in time a little bit to the present instead of the future, there's, have you heard about the State Farm verdict out of Texas?
No.
Over $250,000. Tom, you could talk about it more if you want to, but I mean, that's kind of
What's $250,000? What's that mean?
Last month in Texas, a court found that the State Farm knowingly or intentionally engaged in unfair and deceptive acts or practices.
So State Farm tried to declare a total loss on a car that the shop wanted, or that the customer wanted to fix. And it was less than 100% of the threshold for repairs, or to be declared a total loss.
Who sued?
The consumer.
The consumer or the body shop?
The consumer.
So he wanted to keep his car.
Yeah.
So the consumer wanted a wrecked car back.
Well, if you want, I could. Want me to read it?
I'm just trying. Listen, get me another car, okay? Alicia, do me a favor. The next time I'm going to buy you a 55-gallon drum. Fucking, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay.
It's a Mother's Day present, and I love it.
It's a Mother's Day present?
It was a Mother's Day
Are they
present.
trying to drown you? What are you doing? Do you do laps in it after the show?
I bathe in it in the morning.
Look at this. Have you suddenly become dehydrated? Something I don't know about? What's the
Shower in
shit?
the water.
That do the whole family? Is that your tank on the side of the house? That's 3 showers, the kids, and the bath, right? That's the size of the tank.
It's a water tower. I was hoping to be on camera while that happened, which is very
Petticoat Junction Water Tower.
interesting.
I always wanted a glass of water at that Petticoat Junction Water Tower, just to let you know.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Just saying, Tom.
Yeah, I hear you. They got a total judgment of $277,000 from State Farm to pay the customer.
Wow. I mean, so I don't get the logic of the customer.
It's more of a statement against the insurance companies basically dictating to the body shop industry. So it's a win for the industry, not the individual shop. We're not talking about
No, it's not. It absolutely is a win for the industry. If somebody's if that appraiser doesn't get along with that body shop, right? He has no right to go in and total that car. No right. Because he may be saying, right? I'm sorry, Alicia. Just let me. He may be saying, you know what? F this guy. We never got along on him. He's a big pain in the ass, and I'm going to wipe the car out. That's wrong. Do I think it happens every day? I don't know. I would imagine it does from time to time. It's probably not a precedent-setting case, okay? But it's a win. Absolutely. It's a goddamn win. I do believe that, but it has no legs. Has no legs. It's Biden with cocaine in the White House. They don't know where it came from. It doesn't really matter next week. Okay, that's all. It is. So, the most secure building in the world. Nobody know where to blow him in. My mother could find cocaine and pot in my house every day, and I had great hiding places. You can cut that out if you want. All right. I'm trying to be entertaining here. Okay. It got a little dry on us for a couple of seconds with the whole EV thing. Aside from the fact that Tom has got the keys to the Pentagon when he wants me to get on a webcast. Okay. So fucking type in, ready, Alicia, type in. I hung up on him. I've never done that in 30 years. I hung up. I'm going goodbye. Type in 84 / YY /W. I went, what the am I doing? Just get me back on Zoom, please. Anyhow, do I think it's a win? Yeah, I think it's a win for the industry. I don't think any insurance company can take advantage of anybody in this goddamn but in circumstance or no circumstance, whether they hate the shop or not, they don't have the right to do that. No, they don't. Just to get out of it easy and to stick it to the body shop, maybe. I don't know the whole story.
Are you surprised?
Am I surprised that they total the car on somebody?
No. Are you surprised that a jury awarded that amount of money?
No, I'm not. I'm surprised it wasn't more, because it's people, the public, they hate insurance companies. They do. They find no value until their husband drops dead of a heart attack and the guy walks in with a $500,000 life insurance policy. That's the only time we see value in an insurance company, because we don't cover a car once a week. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like going to a great restaurant, you plunk down $100 and you go, oh, I'm full and the meal was great. Kind of sucks just paying somebody every month. It does. So I'm not surprised that the consumer sided with the body shop and the consumer. I'm not surprised that jury made that decision. No, it's a good decision. It is.
This shop is one of those ones that is probably seen as a pain in the ass by the insurance companies, because he does everything the right way. He documents every second of his repair. He wants what he did to get paid for it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
He doesn't sit down and roll over. He's one of those
Yeah.
guys. So,
Is he one of those guys?
absolutely. Burl.
He is. I know nothing about him. God bless him. And I can't wake up with that knife in my teeth. I fought for the first 25 years in this business. I was a miserable son of a bitch. I got people that come in here now that were praisers, and they say, we used to draw straws to come to your shop. Like nobody wanted to come here, and I just got tired of doing business like that. It was too hard. That's me. But I admire the guys that put up the big fight. I do.
Tell us a funny adjuster story.
Oh yeah, I got one. A young guy walks in my shop. Everybody's young now to me, right? I'm 65, and he walks in. He's a kid, he's got 15 inches of pants rolled around his ankles. He basically looks like shit. Okay, he looks like, so he comes in, he stumbles in, and he works for one of the companies that I just tossed out of here. I toss them out every week. They come back with the tail between their legs because of the shit that I fix. They have to come here. So he walks upstairs, and I gave him the estimate. So this is my estimate. We're gonna have to sit down. I usually keep them here like 2 hours. 2 hours. That's why they can't stand me, right? So he said, yeah, it needs a fender, it needs a bumper cover, it needs a headlight. He goes, and the piece behind the headlight, the apron. And I went, I go, excuse me? He goes, apron. I'm like, and we're all sitting there looking at each other like, what the fuck? What's a prawn? What? An apron? What is an apron? Like, and John goes, let's walk down to the car. So we all walk down together. He goes, this piece. I go, you mean the apron? And the guy goes, yeah, the apron. I go, well, that makes you a moron. Okay. I go, the guy got offended. The supervisor goes, you call my kid a moron? I go, don't send him. I go, you know what he is? He's the metal duck at the fun house when I go ding, ding. Don't send this kid to this shop. Freaking a prawn. This is what I have to deal with. This, right? At 65, I'm getting a little more patient as I get older.
A couple weeks ago, one of our members, the members of ASP New Jersey, was fined $44,000 by OSHA. The categories listed in the inspection citations were lack of respiratory protection training, lack of annual respirator fit testing, voluntary respirator use, lack of hazard communication training, safety data sheets not readily available, flammable liquid storage, flammable liquids transfer, electrical wiring, and lack of proper signage. Total of $44,000 in fines. What do you think, Ed?
Overreach on OSHA's part, way overreach. They could have handled that differently. We're a small business guy, you know. I don't care if the guy's doing, if he's doing $7-10 million a year, $44,000 is a lot of profit. Number one. Number two, maybe the OSHA guy should have educated our guy. Maybe he should have sat down with that body shop. It's all about that first meeting, like when the person walks the door. You know, OSHA came here. You know, most of the time it's an employee call. It's a rat in our language. It's a rat call from somebody that's pissed off. You fired them. If that's most of the time, because OSHA doesn't randomly walk in unless there's something, either a phone call or there's something so egregious. You know, like you drive by and there's hazardous waste barrels stacked up on top of it in front of the shop, which good shops don't do that. I think it's overreach by OSHA. I think that they are out of money. I think the state's out of money. I think the feds are out of money, and now they're looking for revenue. Most of the time, I'd have to say, though, it has to do with the first reaction on how you handle the OSHA guy when he walks in the door. Now, if the guy's if he's a stiff dickhead to begin with, if he's a gotcha guy, like I call some of the adjusters, some of the inside, I call them gotcha guys. If he's a gotcha guy, you're dead, because he's not going to be that guy. It's okay. That's a lot of money, and I think and like I said, you don't know what happened on the initial meeting, the first walk-in. OSHA walked in on me, and I know it was a rat call, and I know who did it. Okay. And it was a woman. Her name was Tara Gertz, and she no longer works for the state. She was awesome. I remember her walking in, and I said, "Let me show you all the things I'm doing wrong." And she just got this big smile on her face, like, "Wow, this is gonna be easy." So I said, "Look, here's an ungrounded drum." I showed her shit, and I went through the shop, because no shop is perfect. I mean, but we have American Compliance come in, so we have all our material safe data sheets. We do our respirator fit tests too. We already did all this stuff, you know. And the guys with beards had to shave their beard for the mask, you know. And so we went through that before, but they were pretty malleable. They were pretty easy to get along with on my side. Go ahead.
You've been in business for like 40 years. How many times have they come in?
Once.
Wow.
Once, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I mean, don't get me wrong. She said, but I had all the MSDA sheets waiting for her, you know, and the fit tests were done. So she kind of scrutinized the shop environment, you know, and I was young in business. It was 25 years ago. So, you know, you make mistakes because you're too busy just busting your butt, humping a living, you know. You got to watch what you say when they walk in the door. Shake their hand, extend their hand, realize they have a job to do. Obviously, they have to follow up on this call. Shut your mouth and listen a lot. But if you're going to jump down their throat and ask them, "Hey, you know what? There's 7 backyard shops down the street you should go to," you're done. You're done. They're going to bury it. I think your initial contact should be pleasant.
Yeah, you try.
Not ass kissing. Pleasant. Invite. Okay, let's go take a look at the shop. And you're not going to hide it. He walked in the door. It's over. So just walk through, and you know, you get what you get at that point, because not very few of us are ready for an OSHA inspection right now.
Yeah,
we're not. They got the pen and the calculator. So you know, that's tough. I think it's an overreach. I think that the fine is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, you know, but
wait, with OSHA, I thought it's not it. I thought they leave and they're like, "Here's what you did wrong. This, and this. You got to fix it in 30 days, or then you get a fine." That's not how it works.
something went wrong in that transaction. Something, yeah.
Okay.
Something that didn't, you know, They're supposed to be informational. Now, if you walk outside where you're dumping 55-gallon drums of hazardous waste down the sewer, expect the fine. Okay.
All right, we have come to the end of another Out of Body Experiences podcast. One more time, let's thank this episode's sponsor, Spinisi Americas. Make sure you visit spinisi.us or click the link below to check them out. Thank you very much to Tom Greco and to Eddie Day, our hosts. And thank you, our listeners, for your support and for listening to us. Tell all your friends, tell people you don't like to listen to us, everybody you know. You can find this on grecopublishing.com, on YouTube, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts. And I think that's it. You guys have any closing thoughts?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm always honored that you guys choose me to do this.